I never thought seeing Marcus step out of that car at the family barbecue would change everything I thought I knew about myself. But it did. My name is Daniel, I'm 23, and I'm a graphic designer in Austin. And I need to tell you something I never imagined I'd say about my best friend's uncle. That summer Saturday, Lucas's parents' house was packed. It was the annual family barbecue, that tradition we've kept since childhood. Lucas and I grew up together. He's practically my brother, and I've known his entire family for years. Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, everyone, including Marcus. Marcus, Lucas's oldest uncle, had always been a somewhat distant figure. You know, that uncle who shows up every now and then, makes a few funny comments, asks how life's treating you, and then disappears again? Exactly that. I had sparse memories of him. Once he taught me how to play pool when I was about 15. Another time he made a joke about my haircut when I was 18. Nothing remarkable. Nothing that would justify what was about to happen that day. But then he stepped out of the car. I was helping put beers in the cooler when I heard Lucas yell, "Uncle Marcus," from across the yard. I looked up out of curiosity, not expecting anything, and I simply froze. He was getting out of a black Civic, sunglasses still on his face, a navy blue shirt rolled up to his elbows. The afternoon sun hit him in a way that felt like a movie scene. Marcus was 43, I knew, because Lucas had mentioned a few weeks ago that his uncle's birthday was coming up. But he didn't look 43. Or rather, he looked like exactly the kind of 43 that makes your breath catch. Graying at the temples, a neatly trimmed beard, that confident posture of someone who knows exactly who they are. He took off his sunglasses and our eyes met for a second while I was still crouched beside the cooler. He waved, a simple wave, and I felt my stomach do a strange flip. What the hell was that? I thought, standing up too quickly and almost knocking over the beers. Lucas ran to hug his uncle, and I stood there, trying to understand why my heart was beating faster, why I was noticing the way his shirt hugged his shoulders, why I was paying attention to the way he laughed, a deep chuckle that seemed to vibrate in my chest. He's Lucas's uncle. Lucas's uncle. What is happening to me? I shook my head and went back to organizing the drinks, but my eyes kept drifting in his direction. Marcus greeted everyone with that relaxed demeanor, firm hugs, pats on the back. The women in the family adored him. My mom, who was also at the barbecue because our families are that close, even commented loud enough for me to hear, "Marcus gets more handsome every day. It's unbelievable." And I internally agreed, which only made me more confused. "Daniel!" His voice, saying my name. I looked up. Marcus was coming my way, hand extended, that smile showing perfectly white teeth. He was a couple inches taller than me, I noticed as I got closer. I was about 5'9". I thought that was a decent height, but next to him I felt smaller, in a strange way, in a way that wasn't bad. "How are you doing, man? Long time no see." He shook my hand firmly. His hand was warm, larger than mine, and I held on for a second longer than I should have. "I'm good, Marcus. Yeah, it really has been a while." My voice came out higher pitched than normal. I cleared my throat, trying to play it off. "You've really grown." He looked me up and down, not in a weird way, just observant. "Last time I saw you, you still had that teenage look. Now you're a man." Was he complimenting me, or just stating a fact? Why was I dissecting every word? "You're looking good too," I replied and immediately hated myself. Good. What a stupid answer that was. But he just smiled wider and patted my shoulder. His hand stayed there for 3 seconds. 3 seconds that I mentally counted. And when he took his hand away, I missed the wait. What is happening to me? He was called over by Lucas's dad and walked away. I stood there, trying to process the strange sensation in my stomach. That tingling on my shoulder where he touched me. The way my brain had registered every detail about him. The scent of woody cologne, the impeccable crease in his jeans. Even the way his voice had a husky, slightly worn, sexy quality. Sexy. I thought the word and almost had a mental breakdown. He's not sexy. He's Marcus, Lucas's uncle, a family figure, completely out of the question. But my body apparently hadn't gotten the memo. Because as the afternoon wore on, I kept catching myself looking. Again and again. And again. When he grabbed a beer from the cooler, I watched the way the muscles in his forearm moved. When he laughed at one of my dad's jokes, I was fascinated by the way his eyes crinkled at the corners. When he bent down to play with Lucas's dog, I paid attention to the line of his spine, the way he moved with such athletic ease. And the worst part, he caught me looking. Twice. The first time, he was at the barbecue, helping Lucas's dad flip the meat. I was sitting on a plastic chair, pretending to pay attention to my cousin's conversation, but my eyes were glued to Marcus. The way he held the tongs, the focused way he looked at the grill. Then he turned his head and looked directly at me. He smiled, a small smile, almost intimate, and I looked away so fast I almost twisted my neck. The second time was worse. He was sitting at the garden table, beer in hand, listening to some story one of the cousins was telling. I was on the other side of the yard, but I had a direct line of sight. And I was watching, just watching, studying his profile. The way he tilted his head when he listened. The way he ran his hand through his hair. Then he turned, looked at me, and didn't look away. We stood there looking at each other for 3-4 seconds, long enough for me to feel a wave of heat rise up my neck. For me to realize he wasn't just looking back at me, he was seeing me, with an intensity that made my heart race. It was Lucas who broke the moment, sitting next to his uncle and blocking my line of sight. I took a deep breath, looked at the beer in my hand. I was sweating, and it wasn't from the heat. "You're acting weird today," Lucas commented, appearing out of nowhere beside me. "Is everything okay?" "Everything's fine," I lied. "Just tired. Tired of fighting my own thoughts, maybe." The barbecue continued. Food, laughter, overlapping conversations. I tried to keep myself busy. I helped set the table, played with the dog, pretended to be completely normal while my brain went into a tailspin every time Marcus entered my field of vision. Until around 6 in the evening, as the sun began to set and paint everything golden, he appeared beside me again. I was alone near the backyard fence, staring into space, trying to calm my thoughts. And then I heard that deep voice close to my ear. "Daniel." I turned too quickly. He was close, very close. I could feel the warmth of his body. "Sorry, did I scare you?" He smiled, taking a small step back. No. I was just distracted." I tried to smile back, but it probably looked more like a grimace. I noticed he took a sip of his beer, observing me with those brown eyes that now seemed to see right through me. "You seem thoughtful today." "Oh yeah, a lot on my mind." "Work?" "Something like that." It wasn't work. It was him, but I couldn't say that. We stood in silence for a moment. A strange, charged silence. I could hear my own heart beating. "You know," Marcus began, looking at the horizon. "There's a lake nearby, right? We used to go there when Lucas was a kid. Have you ever been?" "Once, I think. Years ago. It's beautiful at sunset." He looked at me again, and this time there was something different in his gaze. Something I couldn't name but that made my breath catch. "I was thinking of taking a walk there, getting away from the noise. Do you want to come with me?" My brain screamed, "Say no. Stay here. This is weird." "You're weird. This whole situation is weird." My mouth said, "Sure." He smiled. That smile I'd seen 10 times already that afternoon, but which now seemed different. Softer. More private. "Great, let's go then." And that's how it started. As we walked towards the back gate, I felt Lucas watching me. I turned and waved casually, trying to look normal. He waved back, suspecting nothing. Why would he suspect anything? It was just his uncle taking his childhood friend to see the lake. Nothing out of the ordinary. Except everything in me was screaming that it was more than that. We left the yard and entered the narrow trail that led to the lake. The barbecue noise began to fade behind us. Sunlight filtered through the trees, creating golden patterns on the ground. Marcus walked ahead of me, and I watched the way he moved. Confident, relaxed, as if he didn't have a care in the world. While I was there, heart pounding, hands sweating, completely out of control. "How long have you and Lucas been friends?" Marcus asked, breaking the silence. "Since we were 7. 18 years already." "Wow, a hell of a long time." He chuckled. "He always talked about you when he was a kid. Daniel this, Daniel that. You two were inseparable." "We still are." My voice came out more defensive than I intended. Marcus looked back, one eyebrow raised. I wasn't doubting it, just commenting. "Sorry." I ran a hand through my hair, nervous. "I don't know why I said it like that. It's okay." He slowed his pace until we were walking side by side. "You really are acting weird today. Do you want to talk about what's bothering you?" "Yes, Marcus. I want to talk about how I can't stop looking at you. About how my stomach does flips every time you're near. About how I'm completely terrified because you're my best friend's uncle and I should feel absolutely nothing but familial respect. But instead I'm feeling things that shouldn't exist." "Nothing much," I said. "Just life stuff." "Life stuff," he repeated, in a tone that made it clear he didn't believe me, but he didn't press it. We kept walking. The path grew narrower, forcing us to walk closer. Our shoulders brushed once, twice. The third time, I swore he let the touch linger a second longer than it needed to, or I was going crazy, probably the latter. When we reached the lake, the sun was truly beginning to set, painting the water in shades of orange and pink. It was objectively beautiful, but I could barely pay attention to the scenery because my entire consciousness was focused on the man beside me. "So," Marcus said, stopping at the shore, hands in his pockets. "What do you think?" "Of the lake? Of you? Of this absurd situation I'm trying to process?" "It's beautiful," I managed to say. He turned to look at me. That look again. The one that seemed to cut through all my defenses and see exactly the chaos happening inside me. "Are you sure you're okay, Daniel?" And for the first time in my life, I had absolutely no idea how to answer that question. The walk to the lake began in silence. A heavy, charged silence that seemed to fill all the space between us. I could hear the crunch of dry leaves under our feet, the distant chirping of birds, the increasingly faint murmur of the barbecue behind us. But what I heard most was my own heart, beating so loudly I was sure Marcus could hear it. He was a couple of steps ahead, hands in his jeans pockets, his broad shoulder blocking some of the sunlight filtering through the trees. I fixed my eyes on the back of his neck, on the way his hair, already graying at the sides, was slightly disheveled, as if he had run his hand through it, distracted. Something so simple, so human. And there I was analyzing every detail as if it were the first time I'd ever seen a man in my life. And in a way, it was. "You've grown a lot since I last saw you." His voice cut through the silence so casually it almost made me stumble. I paused for a second, processing. He turned his head slightly, just enough to glance at me out of the corner of his eye, a half smile on his face. Yeah, I guess so," I replied. And my voice came out higher pitched than I expected. I cleared my throat. "How long has it been? 3 years?" "4, he corrected, stopping and turning fully to me now. "You had just started college. I remember you were nervous about choosing your major." I blinked, surprised. He remembered that from a conversation 4 years ago at some random family barbecue. "You remember that?" Marcus shrugged, but his smile softened a little. "Intimate. Of course, I remember. You were always different from the others. More introspective. More real." Real. That word dropped between us like a stone thrown into still water, creating ripples I didn't know how to contain. What did he mean by real? What did he see in me that others didn't? And why, damn it, did it make me feel both exposed and completely safe at the same time? "Thanks, I guess," I said, trying to smile, trying to seem normal. But there was something in the way he looked at me as if he were reading every thought I tried to hide that made my stomach churn. He let out a low, almost inaudible laugh and kept walking. I followed him, and this time he slowed his pace, walking side by side with me. His shoulder almost touched mine. Almost. But it didn't, and that almost was torture. "You know," Marcus began, his voice more serious now, "I got divorced about 2 years ago." I stopped walking. He continued for a few more steps before noticing, turning to me with an expression I couldn't decipher. Was there pain there? Relief? Or perhaps a strange mix of both? I didn't know," I murmured. And it was true. No one had talked about it. Or maybe they had, and I just hadn't paid attention because Marcus had always just been my best friend's uncle, a distant, respectable figure, irrelevant to my life, until that day. "I don't usually talk about it," he said, shoving his hands deeper into his pockets. "But, I don't know. You make me feel like I can be honest. Like I don't have to pretend." I had no answer for that. My brain was screaming 1,000 questions at once. Why was he telling me this? Why me, of all people? What the hell was happening here? But what came out of my mouth was just, "I'm sorry." Marcus shook his head. "Don't be. It was the best decision." I was. Alone for a long time, even when married. You know how it is? I didn't know, but I pretended I did, nodding, because the last thing I wanted was to break that moment. Because for the first time since he arrived, I wasn't talking to my friend's uncle. I was talking to Marcus. Just Marcus. A man who seemed as lost as I was. And that scared me as much as it attracted me. The lake appeared suddenly, opening up through the trees like a revelation. The water was calm, reflecting the blue sky and the slow-moving white clouds. There was something unreal about that place, as if we were inside a painting, far from the barbecue, far from family, far from everything that defined us. It was just the two of us. Marcus walked to the shore, and I followed him, my eyes fixed on him as he stopped, took off his sneakers, his socks. I watched every movement, his fingers untying the laces, the way he pushed his sneakers aside with his bare foot, how he bent down and rolled up the cuffs of his jeans. "Come on," he said, without looking back, and stepped into the water. I stood still for a moment, my heart in my throat. There was something so intimate about that gesture, so casual, and yet so charged, as if he were inviting me to something more than just getting my feet wet in a lake. I took off my sneakers, too. The stones were cold beneath my bare feet as I walked to the edge, and the water, when I touched it, was icy. But it didn't matter. I went in anyway. Marcus was a few feet ahead, hands on his hips, gazing at the horizon. The sunlight hit his face in a way that made his eyes sparkle, and I found myself thinking things I shouldn't be thinking. About how handsome he looked like that. About how I wanted to know what he was feeling. About what it would be like if I moved closer. "It's beautiful here," I said, just to break the silence. "It is," he replied. But he wasn't looking at the lake. He was looking at me. And that look. God, that look. It lasted 3 seconds. Maybe 4. But it was enough. Time for my entire world to collapse and rebuild itself all at once. I got out of the water and sat on the small wooden pier that stretched over the lake, my legs dangling. Marcus followed me, sitting down beside me. Our shoulders touched this time. Finally touched. And that touch, as innocent as it was, sent an electric current through my entire body. We stayed there, in silence, just listening to the sound of the water lapping against the wood, the wind in the trees. But my mind was far from silent. It was screaming. I'm attracted to him. I'm attracted to my best friend's uncle. To a man 20 years older than me. And it's not something small, something I can ignore or pretend doesn't exist. It's big. It's real. It's terrifying. And the worst part? I didn't want that moment to end. I wanted to stay there, with him, forever. "Are you okay?" His voice pulled me from my thoughts. He was looking at me again, but this time with concern. Or was it something else? Curiosity? Recognition? "I am," I lied. Or maybe it wasn't a lie. Maybe I was okay for the first time in a long time, even with all the chaos in my head. "You seem different today," he said, tilting his head slightly, studying my face. "I can't explain it. But there's something different." My heart pounded. Did he know? Could he see? Could he feel the attraction I was desperately trying to hide? "It's just, I'm processing some things," I replied, and it was the most honest thing I'd said all day. Marcus didn't reply immediately. He just stayed there, looking at me, and I swore I could feel the intensity of that gaze burning my skin. "Do you want to talk about it?" he asked, and his voice was so low, so soft it almost sounded like a whisper, and I wanted to. God, how I wanted to talk. I wanted to say everything about how lost, confused, scared, attracted, alive I felt. But the words caught in my throat, because saying it out loud meant making it real. It meant risking everything, so I just shook my head, looking away. "It's okay," he said, and I felt him move closer, just a little bit more, the warmth of his body against mine. "You don't have to talk now, but whenever you want to, I'm here." Those words, simple, direct, honest, but loaded with a promise I didn't know if I could keep. Because being there with him, feeling all of that, knowing that he might feel something similar, it was the most terrifying and most perfect thing I had ever experienced. And I was terrified of what it meant. The silence stretched between us like a taut rope, ready to snap. I felt the weight of his gaze on me, that kind of attention that makes every cell in your body awaken. It was so different from how he used to look at me at family barbecues, when I was just his nephew's friend. "Do you want to talk about it?" His voice was low, careful, as if he were defusing a bomb. My first instinct was to deny it, to laugh, to make some joke and change the subject. but I was tired of pretending. Tired of holding back this thing that grew inside me every time he was near. I'm feeling things I don't understand. The words came out before I could censor them. I saw something shift in his face, a tension in his shoulders, a different glint in his eyes. He didn't shy away from my gaze, didn't laugh nervously or try to lighten the mood. He just waited, giving me space to continue or retreat. I chose to continue, being near you. It's different now. I don't know why. My voice sounded more fragile than I would have liked, but at least it was true. He took a deep breath, and even that I noticed. The movement of his chest, the soft sound of air entering and leaving. When did I start paying attention to that? Different how? He asked. And there was something dangerous in the way he said it. It wasn't innocent curiosity. It was a door slowly opening, inviting me to cross. I could retreat now. I could laugh and say, I don't know, man. Maybe it's just college stress. But something in me refused. Something that was tired of carrying this alone. Like I'm aware of you in ways I shouldn't be. My heart pounded as I admitted it out loud. The air between us grew denser. I saw his jaw clench. His fingers lightly squeezed the beer bottle he held. He didn't look away. This is complicated. You know that, don't you? He spoke softly, but with an intensity that made me tremble. I know, and I knew all the reasons why this was wrong. The age difference. The fact that he was my best friend's uncle. The family parties that would become awkward. Everyone's judgment, I knew, but knowing didn't make it disappear. I didn't want to feel this, I admit, and a tightness grips my throat. I thought it would pass, that it was just, I don't know, admiration or something, but it's not passing. He slowly sets his beer aside and leans slightly forward. It's not much, just a few inches, but it's enough for me to feel his warmth, to catch the scent of cologne mixed with beer, and something that's uniquely him. And you think I didn't notice? His voice comes out hoarse. You think I didn't see the way you started looking at me these past few months? How you find excuses to stay close when I'm at your place? My face burns. Being seen like this, so clearly, is both terrifying and liberating. I tried to stop, I whisper, me too. He says it like a confession, and my entire world tilts. What does he mean by too? Before I can process it, I feel something brush my arm. It's his hand, just his fingers, a touch so light it could be accidental. But it's not. I know it's not by the way he pauses, by the way his breathing changes. That small, almost non-existent contact sends an electric current through me. My entire body responds, every nerve ending on high alert. It's not just physical attraction, it's recognition, as if my body knows something my mind is still trying to deny. I should pull away. It would be the right thing to do, but I'm frozen, mesmerized by the sensation of his fingers against my skin, by the warmth radiating from that point of contact. This can't, he starts, but doesn't finish the sentence. I know, I reply, but I don't move either. The lake water laps at the shore in a steady rhythm, a sound that was once relaxing and now seems to amplify everything. The distant chirping of crickets, the wind in the trees, my own breathing far too fast. You're 23, he says as if reminding himself, and you're 43. I know the math of this impossibility. I'm your best friend's uncle. I know. People will. I know. He finally looks at me properly, and there's so much in that gaze I can barely sustain it. Desire, yes, but also fear, guilt, confusion. A mirror of what's happening inside me. But also because he stops, the incomplete sentence hanging in the air between us like smoke. My heart is pounding so hard I'm sure he can hear it. I wait, trapped in that moment of suspension, needing him to finish but afraid of what will come next. The silence stretches. 5 seconds, 10, an eternity. He takes a deep breath, and when he speaks again, each word falls like a stone into the still water of the night. But also because I noticed you. And that scares me. The world stops. Not metaphorically. I literally feel as if everything around me pauses. The sound of the lake, the wind, my own heartbeat. Everything freezes in this confession. He noticed me. Not just observed. Not just distantly watched. He noticed. In the same way I noticed him. With the same intensity. With the same terror. I'm not alone in this. The realization hits me like a wave, bringing relief and panic in equal measure. For weeks, months, I thought I was going crazy alone. That I was projecting something that didn't exist. That it was just me. Lost in an inappropriate and pathetic fantasy. But it's not just me. You, my voice fails. I try again. You too? He closes his eyes briefly as if admitting it aloud physically hurt. I tried to ignore it, he says, opening his eyes to meet mine. God knows I tried. You're 20 years younger. You're my nephew's best friend. You've been coming to my house for years. I watched you grow up for God's sake. Every word should be a bucket of cold water. It should bring me back to reality, make me retreat. But what I hear isn't the arguments. It's the pain in his voice. The effort he's making to maintain this distance he thinks he should keep. But lately, he continues, when you're near, I become aware of you in a way I can't ignore anymore. The way you laugh, how you gesticulate when you're excited talking about something, how you bite your lip when you're thinking. He noticed all of it. Just as I noticed the way he runs his hand through his hair when he's concentrating, how his voice deepens when he's relaxed, how his eyes narrow slightly when he's trying not to smile. And I hate myself for it, he admits, his voice heavy with guilt. Because I shouldn't. Because you deserve someone your own age, without all these complications. Someone you can introduce to everyone without. This. There's so much weight in that word. This. All the judgment, the shame, the consequences we would face. But there's also what isn't being said. What hangs in the air between us, undeniable now. The water continues to lap at the shore. My heart continues to race. And we both remain seated there, very close. Separated only by inches and by an abyss of reasons why we shouldn't cross that line. But the line has already been crossed, I realize. Not physically. But the moment he said I noticed you, everything changed. I can't undo that confession. I can't pretend I didn't hear it. I can't go back to how things were before, when it was just unrequited admiration that I carried alone. Now it's real. Now it's mutual. And now it's infinitely more dangerous. He pulls back a few inches, but the movement seems to cost him effort, as if he's fighting against something bigger than himself. We should probably talk about what this means, he says. But it doesn't sound like someone who wants to have that conversation. It sounds like someone who thinks he should want to. I should agree. I should be the rational one and say, yes, let's think clearly about this. Set boundaries. Go back to the safe zone of pretending this is controllable. But I look at him, at the conflict etched on his face, at the way his hands are tense, as if he's physically holding himself back. And all I can think is, he feels it too. This same impossible magnetism. This same internal struggle. This same desire to draw closer and push away at the same time. And for the first time in months, I don't feel completely crazy. The silence stretches again, but now it's different. It's not uncomfortable. It's charged, pregnant with possibilities and dangers in equal measure. I know the next move either of us makes will define everything. The mutual confession still hung in the air between us like an electric cloud. I could feel my heart beating so hard I was sure Marcus could hear it. The lake water continued to lap gently against the pier, but now every sound seemed amplified, every movement charged with a meaning I could no longer ignore. Marcus took a deep breath and turned completely to me. His eyes, usually so self-assured and controlled, were different now. There was something vulnerable in them. Something that made me feel that perhaps I wasn't so alone in this whirlwind of emotions. Let's be honest about what we're feeling, he said, his voice low but firm. No more games, no more trying to pretend this isn't happening. I wanted to agree, God how I wanted to. But the reality was far more complicated than just admitting my feelings. What if being honest ruins everything? The words tumbled out before I could stop them. What if acknowledging this out loud destroys not only our whatever this is, but also my friendship with Lucas, your relationship with him? Marcus didn't look away. Instead, he moved a few inches closer, and suddenly the space between us felt both infinite and non-existent. This is already destroying you from the inside, he said softly. I can see it. And I'm feeling the weight of it too. You don't understand. My voice came out more desperate than I intended. Lucas is my best friend. He trusts me. How am I going to look at him knowing that I couldn't finish the sentence. Just thinking about Lucas's carefree smile at the barbecue, completely oblivious to what was happening here by the lake, a wave of guilt hit me with full force. Marcus was silent for a moment, and when he spoke, his voice was laden with a weight I had never heard before. Do you think I don't know I'm betraying his trust just by having this conversation? He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of frustration that somehow made him even more human, less the distant uncle and more Marcus. Just Marcus. He sees me as an authority figure, someone he can rely on. And here I am, sitting next to his best friend, feeling things I definitely shouldn't be feeling. There was something in the brutal honesty of those words that hit me hard. He wasn't trying to minimize the situation or make me feel better with comforting lies. He was acknowledging the mess this was, the impossible complexity of it all. But I can't pretend I don't feel this, I said, my voice barely a whisper. It's too strong. It's like all the air around you is different. Like my whole body knows you're near even before I see you. That's when I felt it. Warm fingers enclosing mine. Marcus had reached out and taken my hand. A gesture so simple, yet it sent shockwaves through my entire body. The intentional touch was completely different from the accidental brush before. This was a choice. This was him saying without words that this was real, that it wasn't just in my head. What if this isn't wrong? Marcus asked, his thumb tracing slow circles on my palm. What if this is just Unexpected? What do you mean? My voice was trembling. My mind split between processing his words and the fact that we were holding hands, that I could feel the warmth of his skin against mine. These things happen, he said. Connections that don't make sense on paper, that defy all the unwritten rules we force ourselves to follow, but that doesn't make them any less real. But the age difference, I began to argue, needing to put the barriers into words to make them concrete. Numbers, he interrupted softly. I'm 43, you're 23, so what? Do you think I feel older than you right now? Do you think your age matters when you look at me like that? Like what? I asked, but I knew. I knew exactly what he was talking about. Like I'm the only man in the world, he replied. And there was something raw in those words, something vulnerable that made me realize he was just as lost in this as I was. The wind blew softly across the lake, bringing the scent of fresh water and wet grass, and I forced myself to breathe, to think. I've never felt this way about anyone, I admitted. I've dated guys before. I've had a few relationships, but nothing. Nothing ever felt like this. So intense, like it was always meant to be. Marcus squeezed my hand tighter, and I could feel his accelerated pulse against my fingers, a mirror of my own. Family dynamics, I tried again, searching for some shred of reason to hold on to. He's Lucas's uncle. Isn't that strange to you? Labels, Marcus said, and there was a conviction in his voice that made me pause. That's all they are. Uncle, best friend, age difference. They're just labels other people have put on us. But this feeling between us, that's real. That's more real than any tag we try to stick on top. I wanted to believe him. God, how I wanted to. But the part of me that still tried to be rational, that still tried to be the loyal best friend Lucas deserved, couldn't let go. I'm scared, I confessed, and I felt tears burning behind my eyes. I'm scared this is just a moment, that tomorrow you'll leave and realize it was just, I don't know, fleeting physical attraction, and I'll be here having ruined everything for nothing. Marcus let go of my hand, and for a terrible second I thought I'd said the wrong thing, that I'd pushed too far. But then he raised his hand and touched my face, his fingers gently tracing the line of my jaw, and I froze completely. Look at me, he said softly, and I forced my eyes to meet his. Do you think I would do this lightly? Do you think I would risk my relationship with my nephew? That I would put you in this position if I didn't think this was something real? There was truth in his eyes, a certainty that made me want to cry and smile at the same time. But what do we do? I asked, my voice breaking. How does this work? I don't know, Marcus admitted, and there was beauty in that honesty. I don't have all the answers. I don't know how we're going to navigate this, or what we're going to tell Lucas, or how your family will react. I don't know any of that. Then why? Because I don't want to stop feeling this, he interrupted, his hand still on my face, his thumb now tracing my lower lip in a way that made me forget to breathe. Because when I saw you today at the barbecue, after 2 years without seeing you, it was like something inside me woke up. And I've spent the last few hours trying to convince myself it was wrong, that I should keep my distance. But I can't. My heart was beating so hard I was sure it was going to burst out of my chest. I can't stop feeling this either, I whispered. I tried. Throughout the whole party, I tried to convince myself it was just admiration, or that I was confusing things, but, Marcus prompted, his eyes never leaving mine. But I don't want to stop feeling this, I finally admitted, and it was as if a huge weight had lifted from my shoulders. I want to see where this goes, even if it's scary, even if it's complicated. A small smile appeared on Marcus's face, and for the first time since we arrived at the lake, I saw something beyond tension in his features. There was hope there. Then we're agreed, he said softly. We're agreed, I repeated, and the words felt like a vow, a promise of something I didn't fully understand yet but already knew was important. Marcus moved closer, and suddenly there was no space left between us. I could feel the warmth of his body, could smell the scent of his cologne mixed with something that was uniquely him, could see every detail of his green eyes. What do you want now? He asked, his voice hoarse, his lips so close to mine that I could feel his warm breath against my skin. My heart was beating so fast I could barely think, but the answer came instantly. Clear, inevitable. I want you to kiss me, I whispered. For a moment, Marcus didn't move. He just looked at me with an intensity that made me feel completely exposed and completely seen at the same time. If we do this, he said slowly, his hand still on my face, his thumb still tracing soft patterns on my skin. Everything changes. There's no going back. Are you ready for that? I should have thought more. I should have considered all the consequences, all the complications, all the risks. But in that moment, with the sun setting behind us and painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, with the lake reflecting the light like liquid diamonds, With Marcus so close I could count every eyelash. I had never been so sure of anything in my life. "I've never been so ready for anything," I said, and the words came out firm, without any hesitation. Marcus smiled, a genuine smile that lit up his entire face and made me realize that yes, this was real. This was worth all the risks. "Then come here," he said, and his voice was laden with promise, with anticipation, with everything that was about to change. And I knew with every fiber of my being that nothing would be the same after this moment. But for the first time in my life, I was completely at peace with it. And then it happens. My uncle raises his hand, slowly, as if giving me time to pull back. But I don't pull back. I can't. He places his warm palm against my cheek, his thumb brushing my jawline, and I feel my heart explode in my chest. "Look at me," he whispers. I look, and it's as if the whole world disappears. There's only us, the lake reflecting the dying sunlight, and years of unspoken desire burning brighter than any flame. His eyes search mine, asking for permission. I don't say anything. I just tilt my face an inch towards him, and that's all he needs. When his lips touch mine, it's so soft it almost hurts. A gentle brush, testing, questioning. My brain completely stops working. There's only the sensation of his mouth against mine, warm and soft and real. So absurdly real. I don't know who deepens the kiss first, maybe both at the same time. But suddenly my hand is buried in his hair, pulling him closer, and the other grips his shirt as if I'm drowning and he's my only chance to survive. His taste is a revelation. There's a residue of mint from the gum he was chewing earlier, mixed with late afternoon coffee, and something indefinable that is uniquely him. I never imagined a taste could make me feel so at home. He pulls me against his chest, eliminating any space between us, and I feel his heart beating as hard as mine. His stubble scratches my chin in a way that should be uncomfortable, but actually makes me want more. Much more. My hands slide from his hair to his shoulders, feeling the tense muscles beneath his thin shirt. He has a firm hand on the back of my neck, fingers intertwined in my hair, and the other pressed against my back, holding me as if I might disappear. There's nothing delicate about this kiss now. It's hunger. It's years of hiding. It's every late-night conversation where I pretended it was just admiration. Every time I looked away when he took off his shirt at the beach. Every fantasy I repressed with shame at 3 in the morning. When we finally break apart, it's just enough to breathe. Our foreheads touch, both panting, and I let out a small, shaky laugh that seems to come from the depths of my soul. "Wow," is all I can say. He laughs too, softly, and the sound vibrates between us. Yeah, wow. We stay like that for a moment, breaths mingling, hearts still racing. The world around us slowly begins to return. The crackle of the bonfire, the distant sound of waves, the smell of burning wood in the air. But the shame I expected to feel, the panic, the voice in my head screaming that this is wrong, none of it comes. All I feel is right. For the first time in years, something feels absolutely, perfectly right. "I should feel guilty," I say softly, still with my forehead resting against his. But I don't. He pulls back just enough to look into my eyes. His hand is still on the back of my neck, his thumb tracing soft circles behind my ear. "I need to tell you something," he says, and there's a vulnerability in his voice I've never heard before. "And I need you to know that this isn't just impulse or the moment." My heart races again. "Okay." He takes a deep breath. "I've been attracted to you for much longer than I wanted to admit. Years, probably. And I know this complicates everything. I know it shouldn't be like this, but—" "Stop," I interrupt, placing a finger over his lips. "Don't say shouldn't, please." He kisses my finger, softly, and then holds my hand. "I just need you to know that this isn't casual for me. You're not casual for me." Something inside. My chest expands so much I think I'm going to explode, because this is it. This is everything I needed to hear without knowing I needed it. "This isn't a mistake," I say, and my voice comes out firmer than I expected. "This is the most honest thing I've felt in years, maybe my whole life." He smiles, and it's such an open, relieved smile that I can't resist. I kiss him again, quick and sweet, just because I can. Because he's my uncle, yes, but he's also the person who knows me better than anyone. The person I trust. The person I choose. When we break apart this time, reality begins to seep in. He leaves tomorrow, back to his city, 5 hours away, back to his life. And I go back to mine, to college. to pretending to be someone I'm not. What do we do now? I ask, and I hate how small my voice suddenly sounds. You're leaving tomorrow. He intertwines our fingers, squeezing my hand. Then we figure out how to make this work beyond tomorrow. How? The question escapes before I can stop it. How does this work? Do we tell the rest of the family? Do we hide it? Do we pretend it never happened? Hey, calm down. He lifts our intertwined hand and kisses my knuckles. We don't have to figure everything out tonight. But I need to know, I insist, and I hate how desperate I sound, but I can't stop. I need to know if this is real. If when you leave tomorrow this won't just be a beautiful memory of the lake. He pulls me closer until I'm practically on his lap, my knee pressed against his thigh, his arm firm around my waist. Look at me, he says, echoing his words from minutes ago. I look. This is real. What I feel for you is real, and I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know what we tell who. I don't know any of that yet. But I know I don't want this to just be a moment at the lake. No? No. He rests his forehead against mine again, and I close my eyes, absorbing every second of it. I want to see where this goes. I want to try, if you want to too. I want to, I say immediately without hesitation. I really do. He smiles against my lips. Then we try. But how? I ask again, because my brain needs a plan, a structure, something concrete to hold on to. Do we tell everyone? He thinks for a moment. Not yet. We figure that out first. What this is, what we want it to be. And then, when we're sure, we decide together. And how do we see each other? You live far away. I can visit you at college. You can come to my city on some weekends. We'll make it work. His hand traces lazy patterns on my back. People make it work with much greater distances. What if someone finds out before we're ready? Then we deal with it together. He looks me in the eyes, serious now. I won't let you face anything alone. Ever. I believe him. God, I believe it so much it hurts. Your brother is going to kill me, I say, and it's half a joke, half not. My brother will have to accept that you're an adult and make your own choices. He kisses my forehead. But yes, he'll probably punch me first. And my mom? Your mom always wanted you to be happy. We just need to help her understand that this makes you happy. What if they think it's disgusting? Wrong? He stops tracing patterns and holds my face with both hands. Look at me. What we have isn't disgusting. It's not wrong. Is it unexpected? Yes. Is it complicated? Absolutely. But it's not wrong. Do you hear me? I nod, swallowing the lump in my throat. We're not the first couple in history who has to deal with other people's opinions, he continues. And we're not going to let their opinion determine our happiness, right? Right, I agree. And this time, I truly believe it. We stay in silence for a moment, just existing in this space together. His hand returns to tracing patterns on my back, and I rest my head on his shoulder, breathing in his scent deeply. That same cologne that used to make me dizzy, now mixed with the fresh scent of the lake and evening breeze. We'll take it slow, he says eventually. No pressure. We'll see how it feels, how it works. And if at any point you change your mind, I won't change my mind, I interrupt him, lifting my head to look at him. He smiles. But if you do, that's okay. I'll still be your uncle. I'll still be here. You promise? I promise. He kisses my nose, light and sweet. We'll figure this out together, one day at a time. One day at a time, I repeat, letting the words calm me. Suddenly, my pocket vibrates. Once, twice, 3 times in quick succession. Reality hits me like a slap. I pull out my phone, and the screen illuminates my face. 3 messages from my best friend. Dude, where are you guys? The food's getting cold. Seriously, you've been gone for an hour. Is everything okay? My stomach tightens. The bubble we were in just burst. Shit, I whisper. My uncle reads the messages over my shoulder. We need to go back. I know. But I don't move. Because going back means facing the rest of the family. It means pretending nothing has changed. It means looking my best friend in the eyes and lying about where we were, what we did. Hey, he lifts my chin with a finger. We can do this. It's just one night. Tomorrow I go home and we'll have time to process everything. What if I can't pretend? What if everyone notices? Then we improvise. He stands up and offers me his hand. But let's try not to have a nervous breakdown in the middle of family dinner, okay? I laugh, despite everything. Okay. He pulls me to my feet but doesn't let go. Instead, he pulls me into one last kiss. This one more urgent, as if he's memorizing me. When we separate, we're both breathless again. We'll go back, he says. We'll have dinner. We'll act normal. And tomorrow morning, before I leave, we'll talk again. Set times, make plans. This doesn't end here. Promise? I ask, and I hate how vulnerable I sound, but I need to hear it again. He kisses me once more, quick and certain. A promise sealed in contact. I promise. We start walking back to the house, and every step feels wrong. As if we're moving away from something too precious to leave behind. But his hand finds mine. In the dark, squeezing once before letting go when we see the house lights appear through the trees. Ready? He asks softly. No, I'm not ready at all. I don't know how I'm going to sit at that table and pretend my whole life hasn't changed in the last 40 minutes. I don't know how I'm going to look at the people I love and hide the biggest secret I've ever had. But I nod anyway. Ready. Because there's one thing I know now, with absolute certainty. Whatever happens from here, it was worth it. Every second was worth it. And that, at least, no one can take from me. We walk back along the dirt path between the trees, the sound of the barbecue growing louder with each step, music, laughter, family voices echoing across the property. Sounds that should make me feel at home, but now seem to come from another planet. I wasn't the same person who had gone down to the lake 2 hours ago. Marcus walked beside me, hands in his pockets, face calm, as if nothing had happened. As if he hadn't just turned my world upside down with that kiss that still burned on my lips. But when I glanced sideways, I saw the corner of his mouth twitching. A contained smile. He was pretending too. About 20 meters from the clearing where the barbecue was happening, Marcus stopped. I stopped with him. Are you ready for this? He asked softly. To pretend nothing happened? To keep what happened just between us. For now. My heart started racing again. Part of me wanted to shout to the whole world what I had just discovered. But the other part, the rational part, knew that wasn't how things worked. I can do it, I replied, trying to sound confident. Marcus took a step towards me. Quick, decisive. He took my hand and squeezed it once, hard. His fingers intertwined with mine for 3 seconds that felt like an eternity. This is real, he said, looking straight into my eyes. Don't forget. And then he let go. We started walking again, side by side, at a respectful distance. Uncle and best friend's nephew. Nothing to see here. But I felt every cell in my body vibrating with his presence beside me. When we left the trail and entered the barbecue area, it was like crossing an invisible border. Back to the real world. Back to the performances. There you are. My best friend appeared, holding 2 beers, a huge smile on his face. Man, you guys took your sweet time, huh? I thought you'd gotten lost in the woods. We were just talking, Marcus replied with his usual ease. It's been a while since I caught up with this guy here. Guy. He called me a guy. As if I were just another kid in the family. I smiled, nodded, took the beer my friend offered me. Yeah, we lost track of time, I added, trying to sound casual. It was beautiful by the lake. Inside, I was screaming. My friend suspected nothing. Of course not. Why would he? I'd been his best friend since I was 12. Marcus was the uncle he admired. 2 guys talking by the lake. Normal. Harmless. If he only knew that 10 minutes ago I had my hand in this uncle's hair, tasting coffee and mint on his lips, feeling the whole world make sense for the first time in my life. Come on, people are serving already, my friend said, throwing his arm around my shoulder and pulling me towards the tables. I looked back. Marcus was coming behind, greeting other relatives, being his usual Marcus. Charming, calm, in control. But when our eyes met for a second, he winked. It was quick, discreet, but I saw it. A wink that said, I know, you know, this is ours. I felt a warmth rise through my chest. A silly smile threatened to escape. I swallowed it back and followed my friend to the table. Dinner was a delicious torture. I sat where I always sat next to my best friend, near the barbecue. Marcus sat 3 seats to my left across the table. Far enough to seem casual, close enough for me to feel his every movement in my peripheral vision. Every time he picked up his glass, every time he laughed at his brother-in-law's joke, every time he ran his hand through his hair, I was hyper-aware of every detail. My friend's mom commented that I was quiet. Is everything okay, son? You barely touched your food. Just tired, I lied. Tough week. Marcus looked at me, held my gaze. And then, with that calm voice of his, he said, sometimes we need these moments of rest. Good for processing things. No one else at the table understood the message, but I did. Processing. That's exactly what I was doing. Trying to understand how my life had completely changed between sunset and the plate of picanha in front of me. The conversation continued around us. Politics, football, family gossip. I participated when necessary, laughed when expected, but my mind was miles away. It was on that pier, on his lips, in the feeling of finally allowing myself to feel something I had buried so deep I didn't even know it existed. Hey, my friend nudged my arm. You're really spaced out today, huh? Sorry, I smiled back. Just thinking about life. Thinking too much, he joked. Relax, man. It's a family barbecue. Zen moment. If he only knew there was nothing zen about the whirlwind in my head. Marcus got up to get more ice. He passed behind me. His hand brushed my shoulder, lightly, almost imperceptibly. But I felt it. Every nerve ending ignited. 5 minutes later, my phone vibrated. Message. Marcus, you're doing great. Breathe. I looked at him from across the table. He was talking to his aunt about who knows what, but his eyes met mine for a fraction of a second. I typed back under the table. Me. This is surreal. Marcus. I know, but it's real. We'll talk later, when everyone's asleep. Me. You're leaving tomorrow, Marcus. I know, but this doesn't end tomorrow. Trust me. Trust me. I wanted to. God, I wanted so badly to believe that this wasn't just a fleeting moment. A stolen kiss that would become just a hazy memory years from now. But when I looked at him again, at the way he held his glass, at the way he smiled at my friend, but looked at me with that intensity no one else saw, I knew. This wasn't temporary. This was terrifyingly real. The barbecue slowly wound down. Kids running through the yard. Adults opening the second bottle of wine. That pleasant atmosphere of a family evening that always made me feel at home. Only today I didn't feel at home. I felt divided. Part of me was there, laughing at my friend's jokes, helping to clear the plates, and the other part was with Marcus. In the moments only we knew, in the secret that now lived between us. Around 9 o'clock, people started to leave. Hugs goodbye, promises of see you soon. Marcus was helping to dismantle the folding tables when my friend shouted from inside. Marcus, I forgot to show you that computer thing. Come here for a second. Marcus shot me a quick glance, half apology, half frustration, and went inside the house. I was left alone in the backyard. The sky already dark, the party lights swaying in the wind, the smell of barbecue still in the air. 10 minutes later, Marcus returned. Alone. He's showing some videos to his cousin, Marcus explained softly. We have a few minutes. My heart pounded. Here? Come on. He walked to the side of the house where the cars were parked. Away from the windows, away from curious eyes. I followed him. When we reached the space between his car and the fence, Marcus turned to me. The expression on his face had changed. He wasn't the casual barbecue Marcus anymore. He was the Marcus from the lake. Intense, honest, real. I need to tell you something before tomorrow, he began. Okay. What happened today? It was an impulse. It wasn't just physical attraction. I've been noticing you for a long time. Longer than I should admit. My stomach churned. How long? Since last Christmas. When you helped my sister in the kitchen and talked to me about I don't know what until midnight. He ran a hand over his face. I tried to ignore it. You're much younger. You're my nephew's best friend. It made no sense at all. And now it does? No, he admitted with a wry smile. But I don't care anymore. I'm tired of pretending you don't get to me. Get to me. He said it as if it were simple. As if it wasn't the most intense thing anyone had ever said to me. I'm leaving early tomorrow morning, Marcus continued. But I'll be back in 2 weeks. And if you want, if you feel this is real too, we try. Try what? I don't know. Really get to know each other. Without family around. Without putting on a show. He took a step closer. See if what we felt today at the lake holds up in real life. And I swallowed hard. And my best friend? Marcus sighed. We'll have to tell him. Not now, but at some point. If this turns into what I think it can turn into, he deserves to know. He's going to freak out. Probably. But he also knows you. He knows you wouldn't do this just to mess around. Marcus held my face with both hands. I don't want you to feel guilty for feeling what you feel. There's no guilt in what's true. My eyes burned. I don't know if it was from relief, fear, or happiness. Maybe all three. I've never felt this before, I confessed. With anyone, and I don't even really know what this is. I just know that when I'm near you, everything makes sense. Then we'll find out together, Marcus whispered, and he kissed me again. It was different from the kiss at the lake. Briefer, more urgent. The awareness that someone could appear at any second made everything more intense. When we separated, he rested his forehead against mine. I'll text you as soon as I get home tomorrow. And we'll make plans, okay? Okay. And you? He hesitated. You're not alone in this. I'm here, no matter how complicated it seems. I didn't trust my voice, so I just nodded. Marcus took a step back, ran a hand through his hair, that gesture I was already starting to love, and went back inside. I stood there for another minute, between the cars, under the stars, with the taste of him still on my lips and the certainty that my life would never be the same. I went back to the backyard and helped finish putting things away. My friend was excited, talking about a game that was happening next week. Marcus appeared with his car keys. Well, I guess I'm heading out, he announced. Got to hit the road early tomorrow. Farewell hugs, pats on the back. Thanks for coming, Uncle. When Marcus got to me, the hug was quick, normal. But in the middle of it, he whispered in my ear, I'll text you tonight. This is real, okay? I know, I whispered back. I feel it. He pulled away, waved to everyone, got in the car, and drove off. I stood there, watching the taillights disappear down the road. My friend put his arm around my shoulder. He's awesome, right? My uncle has always been the coolest guy in the family. Yeah, I replied. He's incredible. It wasn't a lie. It just wasn't the whole truth. Later that night, at home, lying in bed in the dark, my phone vibrated. Marcus, arrived. Thinking of you. I smiled to myself in the dark. Me too. Marcus, in 2 weeks you come here. We'll spend a weekend. No pressure. Just for us to get to know each other better. Me. What if it's weird? Marcus, it won't be. But if it is, we'll deal with it. I'm not going anywhere. I kept looking at the message. At the promise typed there. At the proof that it hadn't been a dream. I'm scared. Marcus, me too. But I'm more excited than scared. You make me feel that way. I closed my eyes. My chest tightened in a good way. Are we going to tell my friend? Marcus, when the time is right, yes. He'll understand. It might take time, but he will. He loves you. And I want this chance too. This chance! 2 words that carried so much weight, so much future, so much risk, but also so much possibility. I rolled over in bed and looked at the ceiling. The same bed where I had slept 1,000 times before. The same room. The same ceiling. But I wasn't the same anymore. Today at the lake, something inside me woke up. It wasn't just attraction. It wasn't just a forbidden kiss that turned into a good story to tell. It was recognition. As if I had spent my whole life feeling like something was missing. And suddenly, on that pier with the sun setting and Marcus's hand on the back of my neck, everything clicked into place. I always knew I was gay. That was never a secret to me. But knowing and feeling are 2 different things. And today, for the first time, I felt it. I felt what it's like to truly want someone. Not just physically, but emotionally, intellectually, existentially, to want their presence. Their voice, their way of thinking. The way he looks at me, as if I'm the most interesting person in the world. Marcus isn't perfect. He's 20 years older. He's my best friend's uncle. He has an ex-wife, he has baggage, he has complexity. But he's real. And for the first time in my life, I feel real too. I'm not pretending anymore. I'm not hiding anymore. I'm not sweeping feelings under the rug because it's not the right time. Or it's not the right person. Marcus is the right person. And if that scares other people, if that challenges expectations, if that complicates family dynamics, that's their problem. I'm tired of living in fear of what others will think. Today at the lake, I chose courage. And I'm going to keep choosing it. In 2 weeks, I'm going to his city. I'm going to get to know his life. I'm going to see if what we felt on the pier survives in the light of day. Over morning coffees, through conversations about trivial things. And if it survives, and I think it will, I'm going to tell my best friend. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I will. Because he deserves the truth. And I deserve to live my truth. Marcus sent another message. Marcus, sleep well. Dream of me. Me. Already daydreaming. Marcus, cheesy. Me. You make me this way. Marcus, good. Keep it up. See you next week. Me. See you next week. I put my phone on the nightstand. I closed my eyes. And for the first time in a long time, I slept without that weight on my chest. Because now I knew. I wasn't alone anymore on this journey of understanding who I am and what I want. I had someone by my side. Someone who was also discovering. Someone who was also scared, but who chose to take the step anyway. That day at the lake changed everything. What started as confusion turned into clarity. What started as guilt turned into acceptance. What started as fear turned into courage. Marcus isn't just my best friend's uncle. He's not just the older guy who kissed me in a moment of weakness. He's the person who helped me understand that what I feel isn't wrong. That age is just a number when the connection is real. That family can be complicated, but true love is worth the complication. We'll take it slow. We'll talk. We'll probably make mistakes. There will be tough days. But for the first time in my life, I'm not afraid of what's ahead. Because now I know what it's like to feel something real. And once you feel that, once you taste emotional honesty, vulnerability without a mask, connection without a filter, there's no going back. You don't run from it. You walk towards the lake, and you kiss the person who makes everything make sense. Even if no one understands. Even if it's complicated. Even if the whole world says it shouldn't work. Because the heart doesn't care about logic. And when you finally let it speak, when you stop fighting what's inevitable, everything transforms. I transformed, and I'll never be the same again. So if you're listening to me, and you've felt this inexplicable connection that appears in the most unexpected place, don't run away. Don't let fear win. Because sometimes, love appears at your best friend's house, at a family barbecue, in the form of a man you should see as an uncle but who, in reality, is the person who finally made you feel at home in your own skin. And when that happens, you don't run. You walk to the lake, and you let life surprise you. If this story touched you in any way, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And tell me in the comments, have you ever felt an unexpected connection that completely changed your life? How did you deal with it? I want to know, because in the end, we're all in this journey of trying to understand the heart together. And sometimes, the best stories are the ones we never imagined living. Until next time, and remember, courage is not the absence of fear. It's kissing even when you're scared. It's choosing truth even when it hurts. It's walking towards the lake even without knowing what you'll find on the other side.